will start at 11 a.m. GMT. That is our time here. So apologies for those who maybe got the time a bit mixed up. In Accra. So we'll be starting in just a few minutes. So once again, thank you so much for your patience. Thank you for joining us for the conference, and we'll start in just a few minutes.
actions. Give your all to me. I give my all to you. You're my hand and my beginning. Even when I lose and win, 'cause I give you all of me.
Now, once again, I'd like to apologize to those of you who've been waiting for some time. The conference is starting on time. That's 11 a.m. GMT. It is 11 a.m. here in Accra, and we're really excited about what we have in store for you today. My name is Kokwi Selome Hansen. I'm a media personality here in Ghana. I'm also an entrepreneur, a singer, a producer. I wear many hats, as I'm sure many women who are on the call today also do. We're going to have inspiring discussions, and I'm very excited to be your moderator for the conference today. Now, what is the Pan-African Women's Conference? Well, it's an initiative by two entities who have collaborated to bring us this event today. Now, Access W is something dear to me because I actually remember when W was launched here in Accra. It was 6 years ago, and there was so much excitement surrounding the launch of W because of what it represented. It represented targeted banking that focused on women professionals, women in entrepreneurship, women with families, and all of the various services that Access could provide to women like you and me. So we're excited that Access is once again being a trailblazer and bringing us the Pan-African Women's Conference. Now, they're not doing this alone. They're partnering with Scaleup Africa, which is a dynamic women-led B2B entrepreneurship development, innovation, advisory, and business services firm. They offer so many services, support services mainly targeted at women entrepreneurs. Now, they bring a creative and holistic dimension to Access W's shared mission, which is to boost the prospects of women. So yes, it's all about us. It's all about women for the Pan-African Women's Conference. And we're so glad that all of you are here and have joined us for the conference today. Now, we've got some great speakers lined up for you and panel discussions. Please note that you can send any questions you have in our chat box. And as the program goes on, we'll take those questions and pose them to our speakers and panelists. So get ready for an exciting event, ladies and gentlemen who have joined us today. Once again, my name is Kokwi. I'll be your moderator today, and I think it's time for us to get started. We'll start with a word of prayer, and for this, I would like to invite the Group Head of Commercial Banking at Access Bank, Angela Okugo, to get us started with today's program. Good morning, Angela, and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Shall we bow our heads in prayer? Father, Lord, we thank you for such a day as this. Thank you for your grace. Thank you for this time. Thank you for your mercies that are new every morning. Lord, as we meet to deliberate as women created in your image and your likeness, we thank you as we deliberate on the topic, choose to challenge. We thank you, Father, for your wisdom that will prevail today in every discussion. Thank you, Lord, because we know that when we live here, iron will be sharpened by iron. Indeed, we'll gain more wisdom, we'll gain more knowledge. And we thank you because we will not live here the same way. We will live here with a new mindset that we can do all things through you who strengthens us. And we thank you for every discussion that will take place. Thank you for every participant. Lord, we will not be distracted. We will concentrate. For indeed today we'll add to our virtue knowledge according to your word. And we thank you, Father, for we will cast down every stronghold that tells us we cannot. But we will know that when we leave this place, we will come with a new mindset that we can do all things. Hallelujah. And we give you all the glory. Thank you for today. We give you praise. We thank you for everyone that has joined. We thank you for their lives. And we bless your holy name. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Amen. And thank you, Angela, for stirring prayer to get us started this morning. Once again, this is the Pan-African Women's Conference brought to you by Access Bank and Scaleup Africa. And now let's hear from the Managing Director of Access Bank, Olumide Olatunji, who's going to give us our welcome address and give us more information as to why we're all here on Zoom today. Good morning to you, Olumide.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, and I'm sure everyone else can as well.
All right, thank you very much. So I've already learned something from you just listening to you this morning, and that is that you can sing very well. Really, I didn't know that. So therefore, I think I'm going to have to subscribe to lessons from you and try and brush that talent of mine that has been buried for a while. So there's a bit of takeaways I'm already learning from today. I guess you can also dance very well. So I guess singing and dancing, I'll have to come and learn from you. I see you're shaking your head. Am I wrong? Anyway, what I know is that I heard you say that you could sing very well. And to come and take those lessons from you. Keynote speaker, Madam Elsie Ado Awaji, second Deputy Governor, Bank of Ghana, distinguished speakers, our valued customers, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. I'm excited to welcome you to this Pan-African Conference, which is part of the celebration of our W6th anniversary. We really appreciate that you have all honored our invitation. Your decision to be here today demonstrates the desire and commitment you have to challenge the status quo and create more opportunities for yourselves and women in Africa. Our theme, Choose to Challenge, which is also the International Women's Day theme for this year, begs a number of questions that we all need to ponder over as we work towards creating a better society. What challenges do women still face to achieve their dreams? Whose responsibility is it to remove systemic barriers that prevent women from being in leadership? How do we contribute in creating an environment that stifles women or promotes their capabilities? I will not pretend to have all the answers, but I hope at the end of our conference, this will come to the fore and we can incorporate them into our strategy towards creating an equal society. In a recent read online, I chanced on a quote by Kofi Annan, the late UN Secretary General, and I believe it helps to set the tone for our discussion. It reads, quote, "Gender equality is more than a goal in itself. It's a precondition for meeting the challenge of reducing poverty, promoting sustainable development, and building good governance," end quote. Truly, a wholesome society requires that everyone is able to wield their power and contribute to build a sustainable economy that supports human enterprise. Power has no gender, yet our mental template for power is intrinsically male. As such, the only way to reorient ourselves so we are not boxed by this mentality is to challenge it. Challenging stereotypes by women often requires shared determination and some level of rebelliousness. And I've witnessed this in my life from mother, sister, and female colleagues, and many other women I have encountered. For me, I've always believed such rebelliousness from my mother shaped and formed my sense of self. When women rise and grow, the society is better off for it because the resilience and commitment given ensures there is enough to go around. As a bank, our commitment to women advancement sits at the center of our sustainability and financial inclusion strategies. We recognize the critical role women play, particularly in the economy, and this informs our products and services, as well as initiatives that we pursue, such as W. Since the launching of the W initiative in 2015, we have been very deliberate in our efforts as to how we engage this segment of the market, as their needs are many and varied. Through the various workshops, trainings, access to market opportunity, amongst others given to them, we have been able to impact over 60,000 women and their businesses. A record which has seen tremendous growth in the women who bank with us and some of the best performing women-owned businesses in our books. Evidently, with the right support and conviction, we can achieve true gender equality in our world. As a woman, you need to believe in yourself and your capabilities because you may face many obstacles that may come your way. The right mental attitude is what will ensure your success. So I encourage you to begin challenging yourselves to own your value more fully, to defy your doubts more often, and to dare to make the difference your difference makes. There are so many historical examples of women who did #choose to challenge, and so many who still do every day to make the world a place where gender is not a barrier. Be the difference, and let's take the lessons of today's conference and choose to challenge. Thank you for listening.
Olumide, I'm definitely going to take up your offer of coming for lessons, all right, for voice lessons. I'm ready when you are, definitely. No, but thank you so much for such a wonderful welcome address and the importance, highlighting the importance of us doing our part and trying to make the world better by choosing to challenge. That's our theme, choosing to challenge. Once again, Olumide Olatunji is the Managing Director of Access Bank. Thank you again, Olumide, for our welcome address.
Thank you.
Once again, this is the Pan-African Women's Conference brought to you by Access Bank and Scaleup Africa. Now we've heard from the MD of Access Bank. Now let's hear from the CEO of Scaleup Africa. Ama Jampo is the CEO of Scaleup Africa, and she's here to give us her remarks as a partner for the Pan-African Women's Conference. Hi, Ama.
Hi, Kokwi.
Hi.
Good afternoon, everyone. Also, good morning and good evening to everyone on the call today. So good to see everyone here. And yeah, we're happy today to turn our attention to women and girls to celebrate the social, economic, and cultural achievements of African women and to hear from some of our male allies as well. So thank you to Yofi and Kakari for joining us on the panel later on. The pandemic, as we know, has truly tested the limits of our mental, physical and financial health as women, and not to mention our store cupboards and fridges with our kids at home because we know how much they eat. So, you know, my children have been home for a year now, virtual schooling, and that has really meant extremely late nights and very early mornings just to keep on top of the business side of things. And I know most of you on this call today can really totally empathize and understand just how much we as women have to get done daily. But as women, we need to get equipped with the modern tools, skills, and innovations that can make us much more productive at home and at work as well. As a result of the pandemic, we know that the burden of elderly care and childcare, many women have had to quit the workforce completely and have had to, you know, we've seen an alarming rise in domestic abuse against women. And even though women make up the bulk of micro and SMEs, you know, essentially, they offer so many services and things like food and logistical services, healthcare. There are still far too many resources available to women entrepreneurs to help them grow and to innovate. But today we're here to celebrate a handful of these many triumphant stories that we have as women. And in keeping with the theme, Choosing to Challenge, we wanted to really shine a spotlight on some inspirational women in business who have overcome incredible personal odds and have triumphed in business as well. So we'll be featuring 5 African women who are leading in their respective fields and promoting a gender equal world. Scaleup Africa, as you know, cares deeply about youth and women's economic empowerment, innovation and entrepreneurship. And we will be working with a network of partners like Access Bank to help pursue a more diverse, holistic and sustainable development agenda. So we're super proud to be partnering with Access Bank today. So thank you again so much. We look forward to supporting the W initiative to go even further to be the go-to women's banking destination for African women. And with our shared vision and passion for women, Scaleup Africa looks to complement Access Bank's efforts with our digital, innovative SME support frameworks and capacity building and advisory capabilities. So we'd love to thank again Matilda, your team, Josephine, Shane, Bevelyn, and the entire team at Access Bank for getting behind this dynamic event to highlight the contribution of women and to share what it takes to be a successful African woman. So we believe that, a truly successful life is not just about knowledge, wealth, status, family size, or, ladies, a tolerance for suffering silently. It's really about impacting and achieving a balanced, fulfilled life with the right relationships to help you keep challenging yourself, reinventing yourself, upskilling yourself, and pushing you to propel yourself forward. So, well, I'll end there, and we'll just play a short video for you to learn more about our work at Scaleup Africa. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Aisha Ayensu. I'm a mother of 3 young kids and the founder and creative director of Christy Brown, which is a Ghanaian-based luxury brand for women. On a day-to-day basis, my job is to lead our stellar team towards achieving our goals within the year and also developing all the ideas and concepts that you see and love which come out in the beautiful clothes that we sell. I was introduced to Access W when I was asked, honorably, to be one of the ambassadors for Access W when the initiative started off in Ghana about 6 years ago. Christy Brown has been a customer of the bank for many years, and so it was such an honor when I was asked to be one of the maiden ambassadors for the W initiative. What benefits women? And they authentically show that they are committed to seeing us succeed and seeing us thrive and win our different endeavors. It was such a great honor and a privilege to be a part of the community. The W initiative, on the other hand, is such an inspiring platform, we find. When Christy Brown turned 10 years old, we called on Access Bank to support us on our quest to empower women in the Polygonal area, which is where our workshop is located, to offer skills development training, to just teach them a skill so they are employable. And specifically, the W initiative rose to the occasion. They did not disappoint, and they supported us all through this project. To all my women out there, if you didn't know about the W initiative, this is a time for you to research them, go on their website, because it's filled with so much resource. They've painstakingly taken time to curate articles that inspire. They have all these programs and projects that they undertake on. There's the business clinics, there are workshops that are all geared at helping women or empowering women to just show up and perform at their absolute best. I will highly recommend this W community to you.
Inspiring, connecting, empowering.
All right, so prior to those clips, we heard from Amajampo, who is the CEO of Scaleup Africa. And remember, in partnership with Access Bank, they are bringing you the Pan-African Women's Conference. Now, just a reminder to please send your questions, any questions that might arise as we go through the conference, to our chat box, and we'll be picking some of those as the program goes on. And now it's time for us to hear from our keynote speaker for today. Now, Mrs. Elsie Ado Avadzi was appointed second deputy governor of the Bank of Ghana in February 2018. She's responsible for financial regulation, financial stability, and financial inclusion. And she's only the second woman to hold this role, that's deputy governor of the Bank of Ghana, in the bank's 62-year history. Only the second woman to hold this role. Before her appointment as deputy governor, she was senior counsel of the Financial and Fiscal Law Unit of the International Monetary Fund, the legal department based in Washington, D.C. She helped to design reforms to strengthen financial systems and manage financial crises in a variety of IMF member countries. Prior to joining the IMF, she was a two-term commissioner of Ghana's Securities and Exchange Commission. She worked on key financial sector legal reforms in Ghana and in other countries in Africa. She holds an LLM degree in international business and economic law with distinction from the Georgetown University Law Center in Washington, D.C. She also has a qualifying certificate in law from the Ghana School of Law, an MBA in finance from the University of Ghana, and an LLB degree from the same institution. Let's welcome our keynote speaker for the Pan-African Women's Conference, Ms. Elsie Ado Avadzi, second deputy governor of the Bank of Ghana. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Kopi, and thank you so much for that kind introduction. Let me start by saying hello and good morning also to Mr. Olumide Olatunji and his team at Access Bank, Ghana, Mr. Yofi Grant, CEO of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, Ms. Iona Goerli Trimnell, Group Head of the W Initiative from Access Bank PLC, Nigeria, Ms. Amajampo, CEO of Scaleup Africa, and all of the distinguished men and women who have joined this very important webinar. Let me say a big thank you also to the board, the management, and staff of Access Bank for giving me this opportunity to speak about a matter about which I'm very passionate, and some of you may know that. It is really, I'll commend them as well for setting up this platform for stakeholders from, all manner of places to gather to brainstorm and to challenge each other on the issues that affect women's empowerment. So Access Bank is well known for its long-standing commitment to women, and we've heard what Christy Brown testified to. The W Initiative is well known in Ghana for the impact it has made for women's empowerment by providing information for businesses, providing networking and mentoring opportunities, and more importantly to businesses, providing access to critical loans, which women entrepreneurs often lack. So I really commend you for all your efforts over the years in promoting women. So today we're here to talk about challenging, the things that work against women as they try to move ahead. But let me start by saying that women have, over centuries, over time, done the best they can do to push the boundaries of what is possible for them to do. So this is not new. We had the movement, the specific movement to encourage others to accept the fact that women are capable and women are able to bring something to the table, has been going on for a while, from the days of the Beijing conference and others. Over the years, we've seen a lot of progress. So women are now well represented in all spheres of life, not in proportions as we would want to see, but women are making great strides. So whether you're talking about government, and broadly so, I mean, all three arms of government, whether you're talking about the corporate sector, whether you're talking about the boardroom and even women chairing boards, whether you're talking about the job market broadly, whether you're talking about businesses, women are making strides all over the world. And in our nation, Ghana, and in Africa, the same phenomenon goes on. So what is there to challenge? It would surprise you to know that in spite of all of the efforts and all of the achievements that women have made, there's still a lot that is working against women. And this is evidenced through the data. And so if you permit me, I will share a little bit of this data with you. For example, boardrooms have women representation, but the Morgan Stanley index shows, for example, that as of 2017, women held only 17.3% of all board directorships globally, okay? Women own a lot of businesses, but women businesses tend not to be as big and not to be able to employ as many as those owned and led by men, okay? And then there are others. For example, it is still more difficult for women to enter the job market or to stay in the job market and to progress to the top. And so, for example, it's 26% less likely for a woman to gain access to the job market, okay? When a woman has gained access to the job market, there are glass ceilings and glass walls that make it very easy for women to stay in support roles and in lower or mid-level roles, but not going all the way into strategic roles or to the very top, okay? When it comes to entrepreneurship, like I said, women businesses are doing well, but not as well as those owned and run by their male counterparts. And more importantly, there's a 9% gender gap in access to finance when it comes to, for women, accessing finance. So 9%, women are 9% less likely to access financial services. And therefore you see how women businesses are not able to grow or are not able to scale up in the ways that other businesses do. What's more, there is inadequate mentoring, coaching, and sponsorship of women. And so women often find themselves alone, trying to make something out of their lives and dealing with all of the challenges that confront them. So clearly, and these are just a few, but clearly there is a lot to challenge. While we have seen some progress, there is still a lot to challenge. And the theme for this gathering today, Choose to Challenge, I think, is a wake-up call to all of us. It's a call to action for all of us to take off the blinders and identify what some of these challenges are. What is it that each of us is going to challenge so that we can give women a chance to go forward? And we need to address this from all angles. There will be what policy can do at the governmental level, what perhaps laws can do, what corporate policy and strategy can do. It was good to hear Mr. MD saying that at Access, they have very deliberate policies for supporting women. So that's good. So there's a role for the corporate sector. There's a role for regulators. There's a role for everyone, And there's a role for our male counterparts to come along as we try to make a push forward. But let me say that often when this issue is being discussed, the issue of gender empowerment or gender equity is being discussed, it is often framed as a good thing to do. Well, this is perhaps a charitable thing, it's a nice thing to do. So at the bottom of our policy somewhere, at the bottom of our planning somewhere, well, let's have a line for that and let's perhaps be seen as doing something. I think that is quite unfortunate because the women's sector is a viable and a formidable sector, okay? Empowering women to fulfill their full potential or achieve their full potential isn't just good news for women only. Evidence shows all over the world, when the woman gets access to the critical job that she needs, to the critical credits that she needs to grow her business, it doesn't only end well for her, it ends well for her family, it ends well for the community, it ends well for the corporate organizations where they work or that lend to them. It works well for the economy as a whole. And therefore, this is a collective duty that we all have to confront the challenges that women face as they try to achieve their full potential. And let me again run some data by you, just so that we can put things in context. This, I'm just going to give you some data that buttresses the point that when women do well, it's really the whole of society that does well. And this is something that Ms. Olumide also referred to. So, for example, the World Economic Forum Global Gender Gap Report of 2017 predicts an additional $5.3 trillion increase in the world's GDP if the global gender gap in the labor market is closed even by 20%, 25% by the year 2025. So just by closing the global gender gap in the job market by 25%, we're unleashing $5.3 trillion by way of global GDP. Whoa. So if this is not convincing enough, I don't know what is. The ILO goes on to say in 2019 that gender diversity initiatives in workplaces improve business outcomes, such as profitability and productivity. And it increases company reputation, it increases creativity and innovation and transparency, and corporations that hire more women are better able to meet their customer demands. You know, I can give you more and more data. For example, the fact that if women representation on boards by just about 30 to 40% is more likely to increase the bottom line of institution by as much as 15%, for example. You know, Goldman Sachs says, for example, that 70% of women-owned SMEs are unserved or underserved when it comes to financial services. And this actually translates into a $285 billion credit gap. If we close this gap in developing countries, we could increase per capita GDP by 12% by the year 2030. So let me not bore you with more data. I do have a lot if you want, but I think the point is made that the women business is not just a matter for women. And when we gather like this and are talking about what are the ways in which we can remove whatever barriers that there may be, fighting against women as they try to achieve their full potential, we need to put it in context. We're talking about all of us. We're talking about something that is a game changer, if you see what I mean. This has the potential to change our very lives as a nation and as the world. And so we all need to work together to identify what it is that we can each do to make this better for women. Initiatives like the W Initiative is the kind of initiative that carefully assesses what women need, whether in the job market, whether in business, and how do we bring this to women. so that we can get women fulfilling their full potential, because it's good business for Access Bank and it's good business for all of the various places where women engage. I am very happy to note that more banks and other financial institutions in Ghana are increasingly understanding the sheer potential of this market segment, the women market, as I call it, and are beginning to take steps to carefully craft products and services that women can use to be able to scale up in whatever else they're doing. Let me mention, as I was asked you, that at the Bank of Ghana as well, we are doing a lot. We're not standing by. We are encouraging the financial industry to do the best they can to support women, and we are also leading in that process in many ways. Under the leadership of Governor Ernest Addison, the Bank of Ghana is very intentional about making sure that our employment policies do not discriminate against women, and that it provides women full access to be able to achieve their full potential. You would notice that we have quite a number of female board members at the Bank of Ghana, about 4 women out of a board of 13. Yes, I get it, but it's a start. We have a female deputy governor, the second in 64 years, sadly, but it's still some progress. We do have a number of our heads of departments being women, and a number of our office heads and unit heads also being women. And so we do quite encourage women to grow all the way up as much as they would allow themselves to. In our role as regulator, we're very careful about working with the banking sector to be more intentional about lending to women, and including women also in the management of these banks. And so in 2019, the Bank of Ghana, having worked with the Association of Bankers and the Environmental Protection Agency, came out with a set of 9 principles called the Sustainable Banking Principles, one of which is for more gender inclusion. Okay, and so we expect every bank, and each bank has signed off on this, and each bank is saying that we will adopt policies and strategies in-house to promote gender diversity and gender inclusion. And in their work with their customer base, the banks have committed to promoting a lot more specific products and services that would cater to the women market. And then in our regulatory work as well, we continue to promote an enabling environment that allows banks and other financial institutions working with fintechs and other providers to design bespoke products and services that would help the cause of women. So we're also playing our part. Just as the banks are playing our part, we are playing our part. But let me say that while we choose to challenge all of the barriers that fight against women, including the mindset, the stereotypes that women are seen, are sort of addressed with, including the structural barriers in terms of legislation, in terms of policy that work against women sometimes, in terms of just the hostility that sometimes women have to deal with in male-dominated environments and all of that, and the name calling. Oh gosh, the name calling of women who are trying to achieve something, so that other women that are looking at these women are saying, no, I'm not even going to try so hard because I'm going to be called names. I'm going to be called a witch. I'm going to be called that and that and that. All of these are real and women face them. And so let's by all means identify them and let's call them out and let's all commit to working on them. But now I want to talk to my sisters, because I believe that it starts from us and it starts with us. And I believe that no matter how difficult the environment might be, and by all means, let's continue to push the agenda for the environment to be a little bit more friendly towards women as they try to achieve. But let's also own our own voices. Let's own our own value. Let's know who we are. And it starts from you. When you know who you are, it doesn't matter what they call you. It doesn't matter what difficulties anyone tries to put in your plate, in your way. So know who you are and know what your worth and your value is. And be clear about what it is you are about. Because we talk about gender equality and gender diversity and all of these things, women, breaking the glass ceilings. Not every woman wants to do the same things. And so it is important that you define for yourself what you are going to be about, and then why you're going to be about that which you want to be about, and then figure out how you're going to go about it. And be true to yourself, as I always say. Don't try and run another person's race. Don't try and get on another person's journey. Get on your own journey, because you know who you are and you know what you want to achieve. So once you've clarified your what and your whys, I call these the two W's. No pun on the W initiative, but these are, I think, the foundations of what women must hold on to, because this is what you have. Once you're clear about these, then you begin to develop yourself. You begin to work on, how am I going to get there? How am I going to work there? No one is going to give you the job because you're a woman. No one is going to give you that loan because you're a woman. No, you're going to have to show that you have acquired the skills, you have acquired the experience, you've acquired the character, the maturity, and everything else that is required. Granted that women tend to be judged more harshly than men sometimes, I agree, but I believe that we need to continue to invest in ourselves. Let that be our project. I think so often women are very good in being on everyone's project, helping other people, helping our families, helping our friends, but we don't help ourselves by making that a project to invest in ourselves consistently. Not only the technical skills you would need, but also the soft skills in communication, in negotiations, in emotional intelligence, in leadership, in all of those skills that you need to be able to do something extraordinary for yourself. So let's continue to invest ourselves, but always remember who you are, because the world is a hostile place, I tell you. But just this morning, someone was telling me, Elsie, the struggle is real. And I said, yes, it is, for a woman, especially. So always remember who you are, invest in yourself, wait patiently for opportunities. And sometimes you need to seek out those opportunities for yourself. Sometimes no one is going to bring it to your doorstep. You need to go find those opportunities, but prepare yourself in the meanwhile. And when the opportunity comes, please step up, because all too often we're shrinking when the opportunity comes our way. And sometimes the opportunities are not dressed up in the way we want to see them, so we miss them. So please look out for those opportunities. Step up little by little. You don't just get up and get to the top. You have to work it out. It's a slow journey. So be patient and work out your journey. And by all means, you will get wherever it is that you want to get there. There may be detours along your way. And yes, you will have to sacrifice some things. You might have to cut short your dream at some point. But if you remember where you want to go, chances are that you will find your feet again and you will keep going. And so these are some of the lessons that I wanted to share with you. I was asked to share some lessons as well. It is important that we all hold each other's hands as we grow up. We can't do it alone. And so much as a lot is required of us, we need to get the support that we can get from everyone. And sometimes our male counterparts are our biggest champions if we would cultivate those relationships. Sometimes they are not, but sometimes they are. And sometimes other women will be there for you. But find your village, as I say, and hold on to your village, because you're going to need them. You're going to need them. And you'll be that village to somebody else. You intentionally mentor and coach and support and sponsor another woman, because it's really hard. Women need to see us being fully present and doing what we can do and learning from our mistakes and from our successes so that they can do it even better. So I do hope that these are helpful lessons for all of you. I was also asked to share a little bit about my journey. That would take a whole week or more if we were to do all of that. But let me say that in my 26 years of professional life, post-qualification as a lawyer, I have had the benefit and the privilege of serving in different roles. I started out, as most people will start out, without knowing where I was going. I just knew I wanted to be a lawyer. And I remember telling my dad I was going to be a corporate lawyer. Well, I don't even think I knew what that meant at the time. But little by little, I took steps, and, the path led me to where I am now. So for example, after working in corporate law for a few years, about 4 or 5 years, I decided that the transactions, I worked with a first-class law firm at the time in Ghana. I decided that the transactions we were working on in corporate finance were so interesting, and we were often working with investment bankers or accounting firms as part of transaction teams. I decided I was going to go to business school to study finance, because I loved corporate law so much, and I loved working on corporate finance transactions so much, that I wanted to also understand finance, which was, I thought, the other side of the coin. But that was brutal for me. And I had to get all the additional learning that I could. But I came out of MBA finance, decided that I was going to go into banking, went to Barclays Bank as a senior treasury dealer in the year 2000, and worked a little bit, in treasury operations, and then decided I wanted something different, because I wanted to be able to blend my law and finance a little bit more. So that took me into the world of consulting, where I was really privileged to work on amazing projects, including projects advising the public sector on policy and regulatory reform, as well as working on transactions in the banking sector, in corporate finance more generally, using my finance cap. And so little by little, then I decided to start my own firm. I set up a boutique firm that specialized in providing financial and investment law advice to equity owners, to debt, to creditors, and really help to structure transactions, which were mostly financial transactions, but advising both on the legal and financial aspects of it to a large extent. And then I got the chance to also continue to do my policy and regulatory reform work, all through the instrumentality of my boutique firm. And then I got into regulating, the securities industry. I got into teaching at the stock exchange. I got into different things. Long story short, at one point or the other, I found myself having to move to the United States to pursue my family dream. I kept saying at the time I was living my African dream, helping to make a difference in my country, and dealing with all of the difficulties that a woman would deal with. Oh, you're not married. Why are you not married? And why? Who do you think you are? Trying to do this. You're too young. You're a woman. You should be looking for a husband and not be doing this. And I dealt with all of that. Working, I managed my firm from zero for 10 years to a place where we had over 20 employees, filled with lawyers, accountants, all of that. And really, it wasn't an easy journey. So in pursuing my family dream, moving to the US to join my husband, started a family, had to take some time off to raise my children. But then I went back to school, because remember, I knew my what. And so I went back to school when my children were very young, and it was an insane thing to contemplate, because I was living in the USA without much help, no driver, no housekeeper, nothing. But little by little, by God's grace, I was able to graduate from the program in international economic law, amazing program that led me to work with the International Monetary Fund and helped me work in countries that I'd never even imagined I would step in, and then out of there, I got appointed into this role. So looking back, it hasn't been a bed of roses. There have been struggles. There have been all sorts of struggles, all the struggles that all of you are dealing with as women, juggling family and work, trying to deal with stereotypes, dealing with the way in which a woman is described in a way that a man is not described, all of that, doors shut in your face, just because, somebody feels threatened or because you're a woman. And so my simple message in concluding is that, my dear sisters, there's a lot that is required of us. When we talk about choosing to challenge, we need to start with us. We need to start with what about us are we going to challenge? And it starts from our minds. That is the greatest battle we'll ever have to fight. Once we get that, we can face the world. So let's get that under control. Let's get our minds under control. Let's remind ourselves of the value we bring all over the world. Look around you. There are women doing amazing things, including yourself. So when those moments come, when you're beginning to doubt yourself, tell yourself you're more than able. But get the help, get the skills, get the experience, and position yourself for greatness. And so while we challenge everyone else to do their part, and by all means, let's continue to do that. And thank you, Access Bank, for leading the way in this and creating this platform. Women, let's do this for ourselves as well. There's so much that we can do. There's so much that society is waiting to benefit from all of us. And there's a pipeline of younger women waiting to see what we do so that they can be inspired to do even more. So on that note, I want to say thank you for inviting me. Thank you for having me. Thank you for listening to me. And let's all choose to challenge. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Elsie Ado-Abazi is the second Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, our keynote speaker for the Pan-African Women's Conference. And Elsie, so many people have questions for you. Unfortunately, because we don't have a lot of time, I'm just going to shoot a couple of them to you. If you could quickly deal with them for us before you go. All right. So first, George Ajabing wants to know how we can access the data that you shared. Is there a site that we can go to, or how can we access that data? That's the first question. Elsie, could you please unmute your mic for me?
I was trying to unmute, but it wasn't working. Now it worked.
Okay.
I am going to have, I put down some of those data points. I'm going to have our comms team send it out to Matilda and Co. at Access. And so hopefully Access will be able to share it.
Okay, hopefully that will be done. Now, I know you've given us so many nuggets of wisdom, making choose to challenge, a call to action, stepping up with opportunities arise, knowing yourself, identifying who you are. I love what you shared with us. With the work-life balance bit, I know we don't have a lot of time, but what is one thing you would advise women to do when they're seeking to rise, as far as you have, where only one woman has gone before you and still have that home balance as well? So just one tidbit of advice.
Kokwi, the truth is that there's no one formula, and it's a daily struggle.
Yeah.
You're going to have to know your circumstances, and my circumstances are not your circumstances. So you know your circumstances. What's at home waiting for you when you go? What are you dealing with, and what are you dealing with at work? And you put in place the systems and the structures that support you, okay, both at home and at work, and get help. One of the things that I did when I was a young mother at the IMF was to try and talk to every woman who was in a high position there, who I knew had children. And I said, how did you do it? Can you tell me? Can you give me one trick? How did you do it? But it's going to be a daily thing. And some days your strategy might work. Another day it might not. There have been times in the recent past when I was dealing with stuff at home, and I am working and I have my iPad at home on a Zoom call, and it's lunchtime. My house help isn't well. It's lunchtime. I'm working from home as a result. It's lunchtime. I take my iPad to the kitchen and I'm making a sandwich while I'm on a Zoom call. Okay. And you know, the boys are doing online school. Lunchtime is, you know, they've got to have their lunch, and I'm making a sandwich while I'm in a Zoom call. If it means that I shut off my video, it is my reality at that moment. So I get it done, and you know, I move on to whatever else that I'm doing. So it's going to be a daily struggle, and just get the help and get advice and find time for yourself as well. It's so important.
So important. You're so right. We are so grateful to you for taking time out of your very busy schedule. We know how busy you are, but we really appreciate you making time to be our keynote speaker for the Pan-African Women's Conference. Once again, Elsie Ado-Abazi is the second Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana. We're very grateful to you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a pleasure, a great pleasure. Thanks to those of you who are sending in your questions, and we will endeavor to take as many of your questions as we can. So please do keep sharing them in our chat box. And please limit your questions to what we're discussing in the conference today so that we can all learn and share good information with each other. That would be really appreciated if we could all do that. All right, now we're moving on to a very exciting part of our program, the Speaker Spotlights. Now, we're engaging women across Africa to share their experiences with all of us. So we choose to challenge in various forms. We choose to challenge lots of norms and stereotypes that sometimes suppress us as women. But the women we're going to engage in our Speaker Spotlights are going to share their personal experiences with you. So I'd like to introduce our first speaker. Her name is Thelma Ekio. Thelma's going to chat with us. She's the managing partner of SME Nigeria. We'll hear from her first. Welcome, Thelma.
Oh, thank you so much. Good afternoon. Thank you to Scaleup and Access Bank. I hope you can hear me very well. Can you hear me? Hello? Can you just give me a thumbs up if you can hear?
Okay, we can hear you. It's a bit,
yes.
It's a bit faint. Okay, but if we could have a bit more volume, I think that would help.
Okay.
Okay, great. I think that's
perfect.
Better.
Thank you so much to Scaleup Africa and Access Bank for inviting me. My name is Thelma Ekio. I am the managing partner of SMENG. We're an impact investor that focuses on investing in women-owned businesses here in Nigeria through a gender lens strategy. And by our very design and the nature of the business that we do, we choose to challenge every day. And what we choose to challenge is the investment space, not just in Africa, in Nigeria, but across Africa, that is still very much male dominated and still very much a boys' club. And what that means is that women are marginalized, if not intentionally, marginalized systemically, and that affects the flow of capital to women entrepreneurs. Now, women entrepreneurs, I was happy to listen to the MD of Access Bank who talked about how women are very good with money. They pay back, they're good customers, but that's not what is in the investment space. There's the perception that women entrepreneurs are risky to invest in, and that perception has become reality. And so we choose to challenge that as well by deliberately seeking for women where nobody will seek them to invest in, and we invest in the whole woman because we know that investing in a woman is more than just investing in her business. And as we do this work, being a woman-led gender lens fund, we also believe that that is part of changing and challenging the face of investing in Africa, because not many funds are led by women, and having more women-led funds will change the conversation within investment firms in the way that investment strategies are developed, but it will also change the way
Oh, apologies for some technical issues. Thelma, it looks like we're having some issues with the connection from your end. Hopefully we can get Thelma back a bit later on. But again, this is the Pan-African Women's Conference brought to you by Access Bank and Scaleup Africa. We were listening to Thelma Ekio, who's the managing partner of SME Nigeria, and she was sharing some stories with us about how she chooses to challenge, as that is our theme, our women's theme, and hopefully we can chat with her again a bit later. But we'll also be speaking with Irene Ochem. Now, Irene is founder and chief executive officer of Africa Women Innovation and Entrepreneurship Forum in Nigeria. And Irene also has some inspiring words to share with us today. Hello, Irene.
Hello, Koki. Hello, can you hear me, Koki?
Loud and clear, Irene. Loud and clear. Fantastic.
Hello, thank you so very much. Thank you, Access Bank. Thank you, Scaleup Africa, for this invitation, for having me in this. It's a great platform, and I'm very happy. I'm Irene Ochem. I'm from Nigeria, and I am the founder and the chief executive of the Africa Women Innovation and Entrepreneurship Forum. Now, it's a very long name, but it's everything that we are and that we do. We are about women in Africa, and we are about driving women innovation and entrepreneurship through different programs that we design and implement to support women as entrepreneurs. Now, I have been asked to share personal experience and some tips, insights here. Entrepreneurship comes with tons of challenges. You will probably work more than you ever did before. You always have to deal with the unknown, wear many hats, come up with new ideas, ignore the naysayers, and motivate yourself and others around you. On top of that, female entrepreneurs face unique challenges along their journey. They struggle to be taken seriously and to raise capital, building viable support network, a lack of education, and balancing business and family life. I know from my own personal experience that the only way to become successful in business as a woman is to constantly push the boundaries and to challenge yourself. By founding the Africa Women Innovation and Entrepreneurship Forum, AWIF, I did not only choose to challenge myself, I chose to challenge the status quo. I chose to challenge the systemic barriers that hold women back from fulfilling their economic potential. Actually, for me, challenging the status quo started at a very young, tender age, growing up with 4 brothers, being the only girl child in the house. I had 2 brothers in front of me and 2 after me, and I was in the middle of them. I had to challenge the status quo. I hated hearing from them, "Don't you know you're a girl?" Or from my mother, "Don't you know you're a girl?" Which meant many things. It could mean you can't play ball with us, you can't climb the tree, you have to be in the kitchen, washing plates and cooking while the boys are playing. You have to be the person to sweep the house because you are a girl. But I had to make my voice heard. I had to defend myself. So it started pretty early. But then my mom was also a widow, raising up 5 kids on her own. She taught me the importance of being economically empowered, economically independent as a woman. She always pushed me to take it a step further. I remember one day, I was only 13 years old. I came home feeling so proud of my high school report card. I was first position in class, and I had 80% in English literature. Reading my report card, my mom asked, her only comment was, "With all the novels you read, you get 80% in English literature." I was disappointed, and I answered her that 80% was an excellent mark as written on my report card. My mom was quiet. She looked at me. She saw my disappointment, but firmly she said to me, 90% is also excellent. From that day, my ballad with excellence started. For me today, there's always room for improvement. So I would say that my upbringing, but also the society's perception and stereotypes on women in Nigeria and Africa, taught me to never give up, deliver the best, and to constantly challenge myself. And it also set the foundation for my passion and to empower and inspire other female entrepreneurs like you to challenge yourself and to fulfill your potential. This is what I do today through our different programs at AWIF. If I can't do it, you can do it. So my first tip for all female African entrepreneurs listening today, how can it be otherwise? Number 1, strive for excellence. Never stop looking how you get a little bit better every day to become the best version of yourself. Number 2, people don't buy what you do. They buy what you believe. Who are the people who believe what you believe? In 2015, when I was launching our WIF in Lagos, one of the people who believed what I believe was Ayonna Aguele Trinwell. She was then the head of Diamond Women. Today, she is the group head of Access Bank Women's Banking. She believed in what I believed, and she supported my initiative, for which I was very grateful, and I still am. Number 3, be persistent and resilient. There will be times you feel like giving up. Walk through those moments of self-doubt that every business owner faces anyway. Don't let the roadblocks and your insecurity keep you from dreaming big. You need to have a drive, for your vision to never give up. And number 4, build your network. It's about people getting to know you, to trust you, and to want to do business with you. Creating meaningful relationships is essential to take your business to the next level. For a lot of people, that can be scary. No one likes to move beyond their comfort zone. But that's really where the magic happens, when you move beyond your comfort zone. So the challenges you will face as an entrepreneur, especially as a female, can be harsh, lonely sometimes. But being an entrepreneur is also great because you get to, make your dream come true. And then the results are so very most rewarding. I am a living example of what it means to be, to have a woman be economically empowered. If my mom didn't strive as a widow, economically empowered as she was, to see that I was economically empowered, that I got quality education, university, everything to prepare me to be who I am today, I wouldn't be who I am today. So we know, as they say, that empowering the woman, you empower the children, you empower the community, and you empower the nation and the continent. And that is how we can have development. And to end it, remember, if you don't challenge yourself, you will never realize what you can become. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Irene. Irene Ochem just shared with us her story of choosing to challenge. There's so many lovely nuggets of wisdom in there. And I love the fact that she talked about being economically empowered and how important that is for women. Now, those of you who have joined us are loving it as well. Now, listening to Irene, Abna Ruthie says, I love that. Push the boundaries and challenge yourself. Challenge the status quo. That's very necessary. I'm inspired. Thank you. Thank you, Abna Ruthie, for that message. And Sophia Ogbomo also said, story of my life, where she was listening to Irene speaking about being told what she couldn't do, as opposed to being inspired to do things that are typically thought of, I suppose, as things that men or boys do. But really inspiring words from Irene there. Now, also want to just say hello to people who are joining us from across the continent and even beyond Africa. So if you're here from Nigeria, Kenya, Zambia, I've seen some people are here from the US. Thank you to everyone who's joining us for the Pan-African Women's Conference. That's the beauty of the new normal, isn't it? We can all come together from various countries in one event and choose to challenge together. All right. I can see Thelma is back with us. Thelma, give me a wave. Yes, I can see you waving now. It looks like your connection is up and running. I'd like to give you just a couple of minutes to summarize what say to.
Okay, thank you for that. Living in the news world.
Oh, yeah.
I got kicked out. I don't know why, but I hope you hear me fine. I'll just, pick up from where my sister Irene stopped off and just say that, I was talking about my work and the lessons that we've learned, but I have to give one of the things after COVID that happened was what we chose to challenge the digital divide that exists with women entrepreneurs. And I'm very pleased to say that Access Bank is the Emerging Businesses Department in Access Bank is our partner to do this in Nigeria. We jointly established the first e-marketplace for women in Nigeria. And that brings me to my lessons. My first lesson to younger African women is that this is a time to be extremely proud to be African and to be developing an African brand. Do not try to be somebody else or try and act, you know, we are Africans, we're always trying to be more European or be more, this is a time to be African. Everything, Beyonce is looking to buy African fabric. So if they're trying to be African, we must plug in and make sure that we are, I'm a very proud African brand, and we are running a very proud African led women's fund. The next thing that I would, the next advice I would give to young women entrepreneurs or young women business persons or women that are trying to climb the ladder is find your voice. Your voice is unique. In this world right now, knowing how to formulate a thought and communicate, people are paying serious money for that. Find the area where you have the most strategic advantage and develop that voice. And there's an audience out there waiting to hear your voice. You will be knocked down, but don't stay down. Failure is something that I believe in my life has given me the engine to go higher. Every time, to somebody else, it may have looked like failure, but to me, it was that tap by God, I call it, to say it's time to do something else. And so as we all do try and get to the point where we are breaking boundaries, we're breaking, shattering all the glass ceilings, know that there will be times when the world will say you have failed. That's just your tap from God to step up. Don't step down. Don't listen to anyone telling you it hasn't been done before. You can be the first. You can be the first. I've been the first. I used to live and work in Ghana. I was the first to hold that job. I used to live and work in South Africa. I was the first to hold that job. Moved to Nigeria, was the first to hold that job. But you have a responsibility as the first to hold any job or start anything. You have to hold the door open for other women. There must be women that are coming behind you and they are looking for how somebody has made it easier. I tell the women I work with all the time, you don't have to make my mistakes, learn from my mistakes, but some of them are determined to make my mistakes. But that is the best kind of advice you can give. My last advice, which will resonate with Nigerian women or Nigerians or people that watch Nigerian movies, but it is my mantra, is have your own shakara. Have your own shakara. And what I mean by that for Western, anyone in the West, is have your own swag. Have your own swag. Have your own way of doing things. You are a brand. You are a unique brand. Your fingerprints are not the same as anyone else. That is your shakara. Build it up, package it. The world is waiting to have you sell it. And if somebody says, you know, they don't want to hear it, that's just their opinion. Never make anybody's opinion fact, and move on and do the best with what you've been given. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thelma, find your voice. This is the time to be African. Have your own shakara. I think that's my favorite takeaway from you today, Thelma. Thelma Ekio is managing partner of SME Nigeria. It's been a pleasure having Irene as well, Irene Ochem, who is the founder and chief executive officer of Africa Women Innovation and Entrepreneurship Forum. Two wonderful women sharing their stories with us in our speaker spotlight. And there's more to come later. So please stay tuned for even more inspiring stories. Thank you once again, Thelma and Irene. And do stick with us. Please don't disappear. We're about to enter into our panel discussion, and we'll be talking with a group of people who have much to say on our theme, choosing to challenge. All right. So please do keep sending your questions in our chat box, and we'll be taking some of those questions for our panelists. And speaking of panelists, it's my pleasure to introduce them to you now. Now, remember, this is our panel discussion for the Pan-African Women's Conference on the theme, Choose to Challenge. And I'd like to introduce first Fatima Ali Mohammed, who's the CEO of Africa Brand Warrior, and she's the Agribusiness Chair for the Association of Ghana Industries. A big welcome to Fatima. Yofi Grant is the CEO of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center. It's a pleasure to have Yofi on board. Matilda Sante-Siedu is family here at Access. She's the group head of retail banking, Access Bank Ghana PLC. Hello, Matilda. And Franklin Owusu-Kakari is Director of Business Support and Policy for the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program, or NEIP, as we call it. A hearty welcome to all of you. I think mics are muted, so even though you're greeting us, we can't really hear you. There we go. All right. Hello,
Thank
Fatima.
you.
Hello,
Good
Yofi.
morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
It's
a pleasure to welcome all of you to the conference. And I know we're going to have a dynamic discussion this afternoon. Once again, to our participants, get your questions ready and we'll ask them during the discussion. Look, Fatima, I'm going to start with you. Let's talk about branding. All right. You're a brand expert. How important is it for women, both in the corporate space and as entrepreneurs, to brand themselves well? What goes into branding for women, Fatima?
It's so important. I mean, I can't keep emphasizing this fact. And yeah, it's good afternoon to you from me here, sitting in Kenya. So maybe the first thing I'll start is maybe, with this red tail that I have. And, one of the things that I do is I brand myself with red hair, because running an organization like the African Brand Warrior, it means what I do is about brands on the continent. And it represents the fire within me and the passion that I have for what I do on the continent and for the brands that I work with. One of the biggest challenges that I found, especially for women who are trying to, coming in from the millennial age and then those that have already achieved and got to the next level, is the disconnect between what they do on social media, so online and offline lives, and it is such a big disconnect where you do not really know who you're dealing with when they walk into a boardroom. I tend to believe it's coming from the space that women don't know what brand voice, what brand tonality, what brand image stands for. And it's very crucial for each businesswoman, each individual, even if you're running it yourself, to come in and say, what do I represent? What is it that I want to be known for? What is the legacy I want to have? I'm a mother of an 18-year-old, and trust me, it is a challenge to have to speak to a millennial who is intending to be a lawyer, who's studying international law, and is going to have images on social media with her going, gang, or doing stuff which will not necessarily represent what we stand for, in the future. So we are lucky, our generation, the dinosaur generation, whatever secrets we have, we die with it. It's not on social media, except for those who are now, getting the experience of social media. And you can see what they try to do on the corporate front does not match when they go out and have a party with the girls or do things outside, which doesn't resonate. So branding basically is your thumbprint. It's your Bible. It's your inner voice. It has to represent what you.
Oh, Fatima, okay. It looks like we've frozen a bit there. No worries. I'm sure you'll come back on shortly. I'm going to go to Yofi very quickly to ask about this. Hi, Yofi. Good to see you. Hi. All right. So we're talking women, we're talking business, we're talking entrepreneurship. You sit where a lot of policy influences business people, okay, entrepreneurs. But specifically when it comes to women, how can women in SMEs take advantage of some of the policies and opportunities that you provide at the GIPC to help them grow their businesses in Ghana and on the continent as a whole, especially now that we are the headquarters of the AFCFTA, right? So how can women entrepreneurs take advantage of some of these things?
Well, I mean, definitely the opportunities are there. In fact, I was very happy to learn that Ghana was one of the leading countries with the most business women. There's a great number of business women who are there, and it's a bit the situation of gender equality is a bit complex in our circumstance, because that power imbalance hinders a lot of development of women and their ability to engage or live fulfilling lives in many aspects of society, and including business. And for me, actually making that change requires policy and program actions that are targeted towards women and empowering women to ensure that they can secure livelihoods and economic resources, because those are the things that somehow empower people. But you did mention that There are opportunities here that women can access. The opportunities are there. And very often I have a lot of people asking me, but the opportunities are there. The women should access it. But it's not that easy because of that power imbalance that I mentioned. And unfortunately, it is culturally seeped so much to the extent that it translates into the behavioral patterns of men and women. And to the extent that men are not aware of that behavior, it is perpetuated because, I mean, a lot of men pretend like, oh, these things don't exist. Women are powerful in their own right. But you'd be surprised. I mean, some of the things that I learned, and I think I should share them before I go on to answering the question.
All right.
A UN report says that there are gender differences in laws for women in all regions, which legally restricts over 2.7 billion women worldwide from having the same choice of jobs as men. You know, and so if a country has a law that restricts women from getting the same jobs as men, that is a fundamental problem that we have. And out of a total of 187 countries that were assessed in 2018, 104 of them still have laws which prevent women from participating in specific jobs and sectors. 104 countries. Can you imagine? Now, 59 countries do not even have laws on sexual harassment in the workplace, while husbands in 18 of those countries can actually legally prevent their wives from working. Now, tell me, how much more power can you extract from this? You can barely do anything when there is a systemic restriction that is not empowering women. But look at it this way. If you look at the Ghana population as it is right now, there are about 15 million women, but there are only 15.43 million men. So on the population size, it's 50. There's equal numbers of men and women.
Pretty balanced, yeah.
Pretty balanced. And therefore, I can't see how you can actually put in laws that restrict 50% of your population from actively contributing on an equal basis, and perhaps in some cases, even much more. World labor force rate for women participation is 48.5%, and it's 26%, 26.5% percentage points lower when compared to that of women or of men. And so you'd see that women are more likely to be underemployed, but not just underemployed. In terms of the share of resources, it's the same. The women are totally blocked. Not just don't have access. They are blocked from accessing those resources. Even in terms of pay, it says that women earn an average of 77% of what men earn at the same level. And so that is why it is important that we have deliberate policies that actually empower women to be able to inclusively participate and contribute to national development.
Okay, Yofi, I'll let you pause here. Sorry, I'll come back to you on this, right? Because you sit in quite an influential place where policy can be shaped to support women more, especially in entrepreneurship. But let's segue to what Matilda has to say about the professional journey.
I was going to say, unfortunately, I have to leave at 12:30 to a very important meeting that was set up. So I just wanted to quickly just say some of the things that are already happening in Ghana.
Okay, very quickly, if you could enumerate those for us.
On the policy side. First of all, there are quite a number of networks, deliberately set networks that give women the platform with empowerment to include. And one of them, one of the such networks, the Ghana Association of Women Entrepreneurs, which is pretty powerful. And what they do is they help women register businesses, they mentor them, they coach them from established women and entrepreneurs, and find new skills development plans for them to be able to do stuff. There's also Women in Business and Tourism, which has over 200 members nationwide, which organizes training and mentoring. And for me, I think that is one of the places where you can actually facilitate empowerment, is the mentoring process. And I was very pleased hearing Elsie speak, and she said something which for me resonated very well. You should position yourself for greatness. And I think women naturally have more potential for greatness than men, especially in the business sector. So the women in business tourism seems to have a very dynamic focus in bringing that. And if you look at even worldwide, I'm sure you've heard of the Academy for Women Entrepreneurs, which is the U.S. State Department's Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs, which is a network of women entrepreneurs worldwide. And I think that when you put all these things together and you piece them together, it creates a powerful voice and a powerful transformative force that can empower women in the business sector. But I do agree with you that we still need some significant affirmative action in the business sector. And I'm sure Elsie must have said it. When it gets to repaying loans, and I'm sure those of them at Access will tell you, the women do much better than the men. They pay their loans. And so why would you, if you are looking at your portfolio, your asset portfolio, why wouldn't you be biased for women? But that's
okay. Now I will interrupt you because Matilda and Access Bank spearheaded this to target women and women entrepreneurs and to give them facilities to help them expand their businesses. So on that note, I'm going to talk to Matilda very quickly, Group Head of Retail Banking for Access Bank Ghana. Now, Matilda, let's talk about your professional journey. You were in media, like I am. Now you're in corporate banking, two very different industries, but you've excelled in both. So I'm sure lots of people are curious as to how you were able to succeed in your professional journey, especially in two different industries. Talk to us about that, how you were able to climb the corporate ladder after being a media person.
All right, good morning once again, everyone. Good afternoon, it is actually now. So I'm going to start by telling a very short story. So typically we have an annual performance review that we do across the bank. And the way it works is that as it gets to the grade that is due for review, all the people on that grade will then have to leave the room. We do a review and then decisions are taken. So we had done for quite a lot. And suddenly there were just about 7 of us in the room. And I recall my MD Olumide saying, well, this is the core of the bank, so I don't need any of you to go anywhere, stay. Let's give ourselves feedback. And it really struck me because in that room, there were 7 of us. Out of the 7, I was the only woman. Now, Koku, you know, I didn't start my career in banking. I started in media and I just did media. And then after a while, an opportunity came and I took the opportunity to do communications in Access Bank, which was branding and communications. And so it was so surreal for me sitting in there and realizing that suddenly I'm part of the core of this global brand that has businesses across Africa and the world. And that's not what I set out to be. I just set out to be a journalist and a good one at that. So as I went home that night, I just kept reflecting, how did I get here?
All right, Matilda, we're all anxious to hear how you got there, and I'm sure we will. I'll come back to you. But let me go back to Franklin. Franklin, hello. Franklin Owusu-Kakari is Director of Business Support and Policy for the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program. Franklin, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Fantastic. Okay, let's delve into what you do. You help young businesses grow, all right, at any IP. We know this. Now, obviously, you interact with a lot of women and a lot of men as well, young men and young women. But what are some of the challenges you have noticed that young women in particular face when they're trying to establish their businesses? And how do you think they can overcome those challenges?
All right. Thank you, Gokwe, and thank you for to Access Bank and also to Scaleup Africa for this. Over the years, I've had opportunity to interact with quite a number of young women and other women as well. And some of the critical challenges when you meet them, they try to set up their businesses. One is the issue of balancing responsibility, which most of the earlier speakers have talked about. It's a key challenge for women to be able to try and combine house duties and their corporate life and everything all together. It's a handful for them, taking care of babies, running companies. And sometimes when I'm in Accra working, my wife is in Kumasi, she'll call me, look, the bank said I was late at the bank for the meeting, but I had to take the kids to school. I had to ensure that the production is ongoing. And these are some of the typical issues women are facing, trying to balance family, corporate life, running their own businesses. But we need to be able to support those women with, as you said, with certain policy. Other factor I have come to notice is timidity, fear of failure. Most of the young women, as they try, men generally have some aura around how to be able to overcome certain and take certain key risks. But you miss some of the women, they are a bit timid. The fear of failure makes them not to be able to build bigger businesses and strong businesses. So they start small and they want to have something that they can really manage within their scope of work. And they are not able to really take that bold initiative to take audacious decisions. And the issue of cultural setting, gender inequality is also key. And as a nation, as part of the Sustainable Development Goals, we are working on to bridge this issue of gender inequality that is in the system. And inadequate support systems for women. Most of these young girls don't know where to turn to. If they want to, even if the person is married, the husband is not really in tune with the kind of business idea the wife wants to run. And they are not getting that kind of adequate support systems for their businesses to grow. Sometimes they come to you, they'll be crying. I said, have you discussed this issue with your husband? He said, but he didn't mind me. So when they are not getting the support system, when they want to, sometimes in the process of trying to get mentors, they fall into wrong hands. And some of these women are abused in the process of trying to grow their business. They get abused. And it's something that some of us have recognized even within the business circles. And apart from this, limited funding is an issue to most women. Most women do not really know where to go to get that bigger funding to run their businesses with the low interest rate. They don't have the ideas around it. So this has been some of the key challenges that some of these women are facing. And we believe as an NEIP, we are working towards some of these things.
Okay, yeah, because, you've talked about some of the things you see in your line of work. Yofi also spoke about the things that he knows about. A lot of this is culturally steeped, but your public sector, GIPC, NEIP, you're in a position from the public side, from the government side, to enact policies that favor women who have these challenges. So can we see more of that from our male allies in the public sector? Yofi, Franklin, I think you've recognized the challenges. You acknowledge the challenges are there. Can you step up to address them, as those male allies?
We've started something. Now, if you look at any IP models that we run, 4 of them are keenly targeted at women. So we have the young women in innovation space. We have the young women in innovation space program, where we are looking at young men in technology and high innovation businesses. Then we also having a program for the women in women entrepreneurs. So the 2 organizations you mentioned, women in tourism and business, we've met them. I've trained them twice. I've provided training for them on 2 occasions. We're also providing them with some funding support as well for their businesses. Then we have especially a package for women entrepreneurs with disability. So far, we've done training for almost 1,100 of women entrepreneurs with disability. Then currently with our most of our presidential business support program, 64% of our support goes to women entrepreneurs. And it is deliberate. No matter the level of application we get, we ensure that 64% of our funding goes to women entrepreneurs. So these are deliberate policies that we have put in place to ensure that at least we are able to handhold and help.
We'll keep our eye on those. We'll be keeping our eye on those. I'm sure Fatima has a lot to say about this as well. Yeah, because I know, Fatima, you straddled the fence between working with the public sector and being in the private sector. So I'm sure you've had a chance to experience some of the challenges and maybe some of the solutions as well that have been proffered to help women in business, especially.
Yeah.
I was just going to make a comment because, as I mentioned, I'll be leaving.
You'll be running off. All right, Yofi,
yes.
very quickly.
But just a quick one, very quick
Yes.
one. I think that as a country and as a society and a society and a country that has embraced the SDGs, of course, SDG 5 is gender equality, and we should do all to achieve it. Now, knowing that it's a very cultural problem, I think we, the men, need to empower our women.
Yeah.
I mean, every husband needs to empower his wife to be the best that she can and not think of his wife as competition. Because when you empower the wife, then you have a mutually beneficial, double income growth in your family. But when you see your wife as competition and you think she should stay out of the work environment or stay out of making money, it's your family that suffers, not just you, the husband. So that is one. And if you come to GIPC, majority of our staff are women. Indeed, let me tell you the funnier bit of it. Yesterday, we went to a meeting at the economic management team at the office of the president. That's where it's like the cabinet members are there. And guess what? It was me and 3 of the women here. My chief operating officer, who is young and is a woman, very dynamic. My head of legal is a woman. My head of research is a woman. And because they're extremely productive and empowering them, I realize also has empowered a lot more younger women in the firm to try and achieve. And I think that is what we, the males, should be doing. Empowering our women, giving them the opportunity to rise without thinking that they are competing with us. They are helping us on that note. They would rather be giving us a lot more power to do the things that we should do together. On that note, I would like to say a very big thank you to Access Bank. Unfortunately, I have to run to another very equally in-person meeting, and I wish I could have stayed. But I keep saying that women already have the power. When I was in secondary school, from Form 1 to Upper 6, a lady in the class was first in every subject, including PE, to the end till we left school. So you already have the power. Just take it and run with it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Yofi. Yofi Grant is the CEO of the Ghana Investment Promotions Center. As he mentioned, he does have another engagement, but we're grateful that you took time to join us today. But we're still here with Franklin Usukakari, Matilda Asante-Asiedu, and Fatima Ali Mohammed. We're choosing to challenge is the Pan-African Women's Conference brought to you by Access Bank and Scaleup Africa. And there are lots of questions coming in for all of you. So as we chat, I'll throw some of them to you as well, and you can respond. All right. Why do we hardly hear of men mentorship and grooming, etc., as much as we hear of programs like this for women? Or does it seem that men can still thrive without this? Why is that so? All right, this is an anonymous question. I'm not sure. It seems like something maybe I think a man sent. Maybe he didn't want his name to be read. But he thinks that most of these programs are geared toward women. And he wants to know why we don't see the same for men. Fatima and Matilda, I'll ask you about this. Do you think it's equally important for men to have mentorship and grooming programs? A lot of the emphasis has been on women for the past, 10, 20, 30 years. You think the men deserve the same, or you think we still need a lot more effort put into programs that empower women, that give women the platform to choose to challenge? Fatima, let's start with you.
Okay, I'm sorry, Kofi, because
Fatima,
in between the network's getting unstable, so it's not like I can hear you. But what I want to say is, Franklin and Yofi, thank you so much for the passion that you have in conversing about women. So well done, because you can see that passion. I think the biggest challenge is we try and challenge the narrative, and that's the biggest challenge that we have to go for, because we continue to sing. Nothing's changed over the years. We keep talking about equality, and we're not going to be getting anywhere. And this is going to continue to go on even after the pandemic. What we need to do is to first understand that we need to get rid of this word called empower. And like Yofi said, women don't need to be empowered. We already have the power. What women need is to be enabled. So the conversation should be about enablement and not empowerment. Okay? If we take the stories from civilization, hunters and gatherers, those people who did history, men were the hunters and women were gatherers. So we need to thank women, because it's women who created civilization. Today, the foods we eat was thanks to women, because we decide, what foods were poisonous and what were not. If you talk about the calendar, it was women that created the calendar, because women were gifted with menses and periods. from time, as they were created. So they sat there and looked at this big ball in the sky and said, hey, wait a second, every 28 days something happened. So we already had the knowledge, we already had the intelligence, we already had, everything. It was just stripped and taken away from us. And what was done was, it was from a cultural perspective. So it is culture that has this. We need to be able to have that conversation. Even when we talk about the agri sector, women are not able to own land. They're not able to own their farms. Where their husbands die, it gets taken away from them. Their homes get taken away. So we need to have these hard conversations. Secondly, can we also ensure that the conversations we have for women, while we're sitting in these boardrooms, while we're sitting with all these conversations, that this changes must make an impact women in the rural? Because we talk about, policies and, advocacies and XYZ, it's for women in boardrooms, not for women that are toiling the land, the women that are carrying a child and a hoe in the other hand. So the conversations that we need to have need to be able to have an impact right down to the ground.
Right. I agree. Okay. So hopefully we'll get Matilda back so she can also contribute to that. And we've got a couple of questions for her as well. But how about this from Ukechukwu Monica? She says, the emphasis seems to be on the young. And she wants to know, is it too late to start as an entrepreneur at the age of 46? Is it too late? And it's true. Most of the programs that we hear about to help women entrepreneurs, they'll tell you maybe 35 and younger. There's a cap. If you're lucky, it might stretch to 40. So Monica wants to know, is it too late to start at age 46? All right. Matilda, maybe you can chip in on this one.
Yes, okay. So I think it's never too late to start anything. If there's any takeaway from me, I think that should be that. And that is why if you take what we're offering at Access Bank from our W initiative, we're targeting women from different segments of society. So we know that women, we cannot give them a one-size-fits-all solution. So for instance, we have young professional women. This is typically what the person would have been referring to. We also have solutions, financial and lifestyle support solutions for women in business, women with family, and it doesn't matter what your age is. So long as you identify a business opportunity that you want to invest in, that's why we're here, to provide the guidance, to provide the information, to provide access to finance, but also financial information that guides you in taking those decisions. So it's never, ever too late. I'm told, for instance, that the person who introduced KFC did so at a very late age in their lives. We sit in a country where our president is 70 and above. America is there for us, Nigeria is there for us. If the men can do it, leading a country at that age, there's no business that you can start at whatever age. So our focus is on supporting women, whether you're a young professional woman, whether you're an aged woman entrepreneur, or whether you're a woman just even starting or beginning to run a family. We provide the lifestyle and financial support for you. And I heard Fatima talk about perhaps sometimes the focus being on women in the boardrooms. I can tell her for a fact that when you take what we do with W in Access Bank, for instance, we know that at the grassroots, there's also opportunity, there's potential. And so part of what we're doing as an initiative, we call it the Live Better Initiative. What is this about? It's about digitizing savings for women and providing them with the financial skills and tools they need to manage their wealth, no matter how small. Because we believe that if you're able to take on that kind of support, and with that backing of financial literacy, education, how you even manage your small business, you can grow from a very tabletop to even maybe a shop. Who knows? Maybe to a big business. So there may seem to be a focus because maybe it's the voices speaking English that you hear often when you attend these conferences and webinars. But at the grassroots, there's also a lot going on supporting women because that is what we have set ourselves to do as an institution.
Fantastic. All right. Very quickly again to you, Matilda, I have a question from Miriam Theory from Zambia. She wants to know if you have these empowerment programs there and how do you help entrepreneurs who are starting out?
Okay, so we have not just in Zambia, but we also have in about 9 other African countries. We have Access Bank Zambia. The MD there is called Joanna Bannerman. Just go there and tell her. She's also a champion of our women's affirmative action internally. We have that what we call Access Women's Network, a network that supports women to nurture and grow and support each other, climb the corporate ladder for those who have chosen to be in corporate. So Joanna and her team are in Zambia. They will be available to engage you, understand what your needs are, and they will provide support. And wherever else we are as Access Bank, you will find that W is available to provide support. DRC, Ghana, Nigeria, I don't want to mention Mozambique. Wherever you find an Access Bank, please feel free to enter and ask them about W, and they will be more than happy to support you and assist.
Wonderful. All right. Now, Franklin, here's a comment for you. Nicole Ross says, thank you, Franklin. A reality not spoken of. Sometimes your obstacles come from home because of gender roles and cultural issues. Now, Franklin, as a member of patriarchy, what do you suggest that men can do to change some of these cultural, I mean, this is entrenched culture you're dealing with most of the time. How do you begin to change that?
All right. I think quite a number of men are beginning to understand the roles each and everyone plays. And for me in particular, we have two businesses, two family businesses. Now, my wife is the CEO. I'm just a messenger around the business. Okay, what I do is to build her capacity around so she can be able to be on top of issues to run the businesses. And when her capacities were built, now I don't hustle around trying to rush home every day to see how the business is moving. Now she's on top of issues, the business is moving. She's even more meticulous than I am. And certain risks that I will gloss over.
We normally are. We pay
Yes.
attention to the details.
Yes, and it's beginning to catch on that we need to begin to help our women. And if you're a man, as you officer, you don't see your wife as a competitor, but we are all working to be able to build a solid home, to build a solid nation, and to really encourage ourselves to move. And if you look at the president, is a champion of women initiatives, and we are beginning to see some changes coming up. And as somebody was saying that most of these programs are being held for women. We want to enable our women to come at par. Men have not been left behind. There are thousands of programs that are also happening around. And men, even on this program, I can tell you a number of men who are on this program just to learn. But for a man, he will take the initiative. But for women, you need to be able to push them so they can be able to get to the level. So, and that is why these things are happening. And I know Koki will get there. Gradually, look, that now beginning, if you go to most classes, the girls are taking over. At a point, now I'm getting scared that a time will come, we'll begin to say, empower the boy child, because the girls are becoming powerful now. And we are happy we are getting there as a nation.
We are. Okay. Fatima, Abigail Yankee says, I like the idea of joining groups for mentoring and empowerment. I'm just thinking of how those of us within the public sector and corporate institutions can explore such avenues. Have you some thoughts to share on this, Fatima?
Okay, so collaboration, I believe, is the answer to anything that we want to do if we want to be successful. Not necessarily only women, but also as nations. Considering the continental free trade is coming to life, a lot of naysayers, we're afraid to fail. The only way we can succeed as a continent, and then at a country level, and then as individuals and as a gender, as women, is through collaboration. We always hear, so women are the biggest enemies, and using traits as jealousy or whatever else it is. But I feel collaboration, I've been in the chat, different conversations, somebody saying, Hazia, why don't you link up with Elizabeth? So collaboration is already happening on the chat. And this is what we're great, and what we're known for. So I believe not necessarily only in the private sector, Public sector is more important because public sector is where the masses come in. That's where the challenges are, and collaboration can only be done with that. However, I'd like to take a point from my brother Franklin, because I'm known to always bring in things that from a controversial perspective. It's a question I just want to throw out there. And, you know, kudos, Franklin, what you've done with your wife is fantastic, because, you know, people always want to talk about every successful man has a successful woman behind him. This obviously is a successful woman with a man behind him. However, I'd like to throw a question. If, for example, God forbid, you were to lose your job tomorrow, and your wife is the CEO of this now fantastic business that has grown, how many men would come to you and tell you that your wife needs to step down and you need to be CEO? Because they're not going to be okay with you now being the man that is running around. They're going to expect you to take the CEO title, and then she has to again become second to you. And that is a fact. So this is why I don't want us to brush under the carpet the real issues. The real conversations are these, you know, the cultural. Yes, there are men who are doing things to support women, but we need to understand that when they get put into a push, comes to shove situation, when they get put into situations that will affect egos coming into play, where there's cultural barriers, then we tend to see then all of a sudden, you know, the machoism coming to the front. So these are the hard conversations we need to have. And yes, for get back to your question, collaboration is crucial. I love what Access Bank is doing. I've been working with them obviously on various programs at the AGI front with women in agri, and we are seeing that collaboration is crucial. Like if we talk about the pandemic, for example, in Ghana, in Accra, you can very easily, I mean, salons have been suffering, obviously, because, you know, not many people have been going to it. But what stops, you know, a salon, you know, woman talking to a woman who's doing vegetable selling and saying, hey, listen, I'll give you space. Why don't you come in and do something here? We're seeing, you know, vegetable women now saying that, okay, it's not only about vegetables. Can we now go into fabric? And they're talking to the textile industry. So there is something that is happening. It may not be happening very overtly or into our face, but it is happening. Collaboration's already beginning to happen. But we just now need to take the conversations to the next level. And it'd be great to see, you know, banks like Access Bank saying, hey, listen, you know, we're opening a collaboration desk, and we are willing to have women who want to come in from the fashion industry come in and now do something with the salon industry. We'd like to see the cooking industry doing something with the manufacturing industry. So I believe that conversation is already happening.
Fantastic. All right, this is the Pan-African Women's Conference brought to you by Access Bank and Scaleup Africa. Before we wrap up our panel discussion, I'd just like each of our remaining panelists, Fatima, Franklin, and Matilda, to sum up the Choose to Challenge theme, just briefly, the message you want to share with our participants about what it means to choose to challenge. Okay, let's start with Fatima. If she can hear me. All right, Fatima, we'll get you back, hopefully. Matilda, choosing to challenge. I really wish we had more time, because I was really engrossed in what Matilda was saying, sharing her story about how she got from media to, it was like a cliffhanger. Maybe in a minute or so, you can quickly sum that up and then give us your choose to challenge moment.
So I think it stems from having a determination to do something and working towards it. But also it requires that you prepare yourself, investing in yourself, acquiring the necessary skills, and also that when the opportunity comes, that you don't cower, that you take the opportunity. I say that, yes, I'm in the core now, but to be honest with you, at some point when that opportunity was presented to me to say, move on from communications and go into core banking, I was very, very reluctant, very, very reluctant. And really? It took a lot of encouragement, exactly. I mean, I was hiding behind, I have some family, trying to raise children, but I realized to myself that I really wasn't doing myself any favors, because those things will continue to happen. So it's about finding the opportunity and taking the step to take advantage of the opportunity. I think in Access Bank, we have been blessed to have leaders who continue to inspire us to learn things outside of our scope. So I started in communications, but I was in every credit committee meeting, every assets and liability committee meeting, I was in it. I was training on banking, I was training on finance. So by the time the opportunity came, you had been prepared and you had prepared yourself. I could have just said, I only want to do communications and that's all I will do. But realizing the opportunity, in fact, in the beginning, I was thinking, I'm here to do communications. Why are you pushing me into all of these other things? And every leader after leader kept telling me to be able to communicate about this institution effectively, you need to know it inside out. And out of that came the opportunity, which I almost let go again, because typically as women, we like to second guess ourselves. And we're very, for want of a better expression, cautious or sometimes timid in taking advantage of the opportunity. So if there's anything that I can say in terms of choosing to challenge, I think that opportunities are out there. So invest in yourself. And when the time comes, don't think that you are not ready, because the reality is that nobody is ever ready. Once you are thrust with the responsibility, you find a way to execute it. And isn't it amazing, Poppy, that when a man is appointed to whatever office, whether it's a managing director or it's a minister of state, we all assume that they know what they're doing. And yet when it comes to a woman, we need to ask questions. What has she done with her life? What is their experience? So choose to challenge, take advantage of the opportunity, and prepare yourself, because it will definitely come.
Important truths. Yep, Matilda, Charlie, you're spilling the tea. It's right. Everything that you've said is true. Thank you so much. All right. Franklin, choose to challenge. What's your message for us?
All right. Let me bring back memories of Matilda Asante. She would say, I am Matilda Asante. That is boldness, choosing to challenge yourself. She wants to ingrain her name in the minds of people.
Yes.
And, in the abundance of water, the fool can be thirsty. And there could be a lot of empowerment program, a lot of enabling program, a lot of championing program for women. But if you don't choose to challenge yourself, all these things mean nothing for you. And I want to tell my sisters, mothers, that this is a time. Believe in your business idea. Be audacious. Hire the right people for your business, and have the right corporate governance system in place. Proper record keeping. I can tell you, you will be the one that companies will be looking for to put their money into your business.
Nice. Thank you, Franklin. I like that. All right. Fatima, you get the last word on this.
Okay, so somebody talked about, what happens when you're 40. I'm 48, 2 years away from 50. And I enrolled myself at Harvard to do an AI course 2 weeks ago. So there is no such thing as age and the limit. It's what you want to do. And one thing that we women have as a knack, it's also, we know it from when it comes to cooking, isn't it? You're never going to tell someone you don't know how to make a puff pastry, or you don't know how to make contomire and some fufu. You're going to go and pretend and say you did it, even if you're going to order it from a restaurant. So what we need to do is we're going to have to invest in ourselves. I totally agree with Matilda, because women don't do that. Men tend to do that a lot more because they don't have the baggage to carry. Children at home, go home and cook. So they invest in themselves. We don't do that as women. So we need to invest in ourselves more. Secondly, my parting shot is your network is your network is your net worth. So your tribe, the people you keep around you, they are your net worth. You will be judged based by the people that you surround yourself with. So move away from people who do not see big, people who do not think visionary, people who do not want to strive to get greater and bigger. Surround by yourself with people and believe in of wanting to lift people, bend down and take them up, because that's where greatness comes in. It's about lifting people up, and that's what this conversation is about. And last but not least, choose to challenge the narrative. Gender equality is not about a fight for feminism, or it is a fight for humanity. We're fighting for the other half of humanity. So let's change that narrative.
Gender equality is a fight for humanity. That sums it up. Fatima Ali Mohammed is CEO of Africa Brand Warrior and Agribusiness Chair for the Association of Ghana Industries. Yofi Grant, who joined us earlier, is CEO of Ghana Investment Promotion Center. Matilda Asante Siedu is Group Head of Retail Banking at Access Bank Ghana PLC. And Franklin Owusu-Kakari is Director of Business Support and Policy for the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program, or NEIP. Thank you to all of our panelists for joining us for the Pan-African Women's Conference panel discussion on choosing to challenge. We're very grateful to them for taking time out of their busy schedules to spend it with us. All right, keep the questions coming. We'll still be interacting with you. Keep your comments coming as well. And don't forget to visit the social media profiles of both Access Bank and Scaleup Africa to learn more about the products and services that they offer. And while we're still here at the conference, we still want to be inspired. We're going to be taking more speaker spotlights. And this time, we're going to Zambia. Now, two women here who are going to share some stories with us. I'm really excited about this. We've got Chilufia Mutale, who is CEO of Premier Credit. She's going to kick off her story for us to tell us about how she chooses to challenge and some of the experiences she's had as a female entrepreneur. Chilufia, nice to see you. Chilufia, could you unmute your mic for me, please?
Okay, it was showing me that the host has to unmute me. Thank you. Thank you, Copley. Thank you, Scaleup Africa. And thank you, Access Bank, for having me.
Great to have you on board.
Okay. My name is Chilufia Mutale. I'm the founder and CEO of Premier Credit. It's an online micro-lending platform that's operating in Zambia and Zimbabwe. So there is a saying by Mahatma Gandhi that you must be the change you wish to see in the world. So I choose to challenge the limits that we have set for ourselves because there is no limit to what we can accomplish. I used to work in different financial institutions, and while I was working in the corporate sector, I had an inner burning desire to be part of something that was meaningful, impactful, that really benefited the society. And this passion and drive led to the birth of Premier Credit. My passion for supporting small-scale traders, in particularly women, was inbuilt early on. I do believe that when you empower a woman, you are going to empower her family, her community, and this is one of the smartest investments that we can make. There's a direct impact when you provide access to different facilities for a woman, a female entrepreneur. Since 2019, we've been offering microloans, supporting local entrepreneurs, small-scale traders, many of whom are women, increasing their access to capital and their ability to grow their businesses. During this journey, I must tell you, it was lonely. At the time, in the first year of operations, I was pregnant and trying to balance my family expectations, managing children, your home, your marriage, at the same time starting your entrepreneur journey as a startup founder, and then also looking at business expectations that needed to be met. When you're starting up a company, it's not easy. It's not a walk in the park. There's a lot of input that has to be there. You also have to focus, if you're pregnant, focus on your health, but then you have the stress of dealing with so many other pressures that come along with starting up a business. I also had to deal with societal pressures, mainly from my peers who felt I was too young. Most startups scaling into different regions are usually done by foreign and larger entities that have a lot of capital. How are you going to manage? You will fail. Chilufa, just go back to the corporate world. You're good at your job. Just focus on getting employment. Why do you want to start a business? I got a lot of negative feedback, but I still held on because I believed in my passion and what I wanted to achieve. And so we were bootstrapping for almost 2 years. Liquidity was our biggest challenge. It was a headache. Trying to raise funds through loans, through venture capital was not easy. We got a lot of no's. And as you may know, female-led businesses receive nearly negligible venture capital funding. So it was a great validation for our company when we finally secured, at the end of our 2 years, a significant investment from a female-led venture capital firm. So my advice to my fellow entrepreneurs, if you're really passionate about what you want to build, the change you want to see, ideas, resilience, commitment, motivation, and self-drive are just going to come naturally. Don't be afraid. In the beginning, I was afraid of failure, but don't be afraid of failure. You have to overcome the fear of failure. You have to be a risk taker. Never give up. There were many times I felt like giving up. We had no money. We had a few employees that we had to pay. We needed to grow our business. There were so many things that needed to be done. There's also the aspect of home expenses, school fees, your rentals. There was so much stress that was coming from not having enough money, but you never give up no matter what. Whether you are down, you just have to be strong enough to get back up. So you keep trying and testing to eventually get there. My favorite quote that comes from Winston Churchill is that success isn't final, failure is not fatal, it's the courage to continue that counts. So I encourage you all, never give up, you will make it. Thank you, Kokwi.
Thank you so much, Chifu. I love the quote you shared at the end. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. That's actually really powerful. You know,
Yeah.
thinking of how discouraged we can get when failure is part of growth, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Chilufia. Chilufia Mutale, just sharing her speaker spotlight on choosing to challenge with us. Choosing to challenge. Chilufia is founder and CEO of Premier Credit Zambia, and she just shared her experiences, some of the challenges she faced in trying to set up her business. Wow, so many things we could relate to there. Now let's go to Justina Mutale, who is the founder and president of the Justina Mutale Foundation and its scholarship program for underprivileged African young women. Oh, you look so resplendent, Justina.
Thank you so much, Kofi. I'd like to thank Access Bank and of course Scaleup Africa and Amma and her team for inviting me and according me this honor to appear today and speak to everybody. Thank you, Koki. Should I continue? Hello?
Yes, Justina, you can go ahead. Sorry, you can go right ahead. We're all listening to you.
I thought you wanted to say something else, so I'm gonna go ahead.
Perfect.
So
go ahead.
Thank you, everyone. As someone who's I am a gender activist, and as someone in the feminist movement, it has always puzzled me to hear that young women and girls have no role models to inspire them into leadership. So my focus is in leadership. And my vision is to leave a legacy that can prepare our young women and girls with innovative and resilient mindset to navigate and withstand an ever-changing global economic and political landscape on equal footing as their male counterparts. My vision is to help the world achieve what the United Nations is calling a 50-50 planet, where at every high-level decision-making table, you have the input of both genders and not just one gender overtaking the other or overpowering the other. So in some way, my leadership journey can be likened to a quote that I have been seeing on Facebook, which says that for all the windows that were closed on me, I am coming back to buy the whole building. So prior to founding my own organization, I worked in the Commonwealth Secretariat in London, a very prestigious international and jet-setting job. However, as an employee, I felt that my talents and potential were not being fully stimulated and that my contributions were not being given their due value. So I left the Commonwealth Secretariat to create my own organization, which is kind of an offshoot of the Commonwealth Secretariat, of course, because that's where my experience is. So my life and career from there has always been focused on challenging gender stereotypes and of course, challenging the status quo. So the work of my organization, the Justina Mutale Foundation, is focused on educating and empowering or enabling women, as Fatima has said, women and girls into political participation and economic empowerment. We also offer university scholarships to young women and girls from rural disadvantaged communities in Africa so they can have an opportunity to access tertiary education around the world, because I believe that quality education is paramount to the eradication of poverty and its feminization. So through my books, I also challenge and I defy the media portrayal of women by highlighting female role models that I have known around the world. So this idea that young women and girls have no role models to inspire them into leadership prompted me to write a book. And this is the book that I have written, if you can see it. This book is a gift. It's a gift to the next generation woman, a gift to the current young women and girls to inspire them and let them know that it is possible for them to lead as a female. And as a gender activist, again, I was very disappointed to hear that the World Economic Forum say that because of COVID-19, it will take another 136 years for the world to achieve full gender parity in all spheres of life. I do find this bizarre, with women forming 51% of the world population. It is only common sense, that is what I believe, that it should only be common sense that a world that operates on half its human capital, half its economic potential, and half its talents is one that is definitely bound to fail. So in 2015, taking back my journey, in 2015, I was surprised to find myself marching at Times Square in New York at what was called, yet again, Historical March for Gender Equality. See, I am a mother to a millennium baby, and my baby was born at the inception of the very ambitious United Nations Millennium Development Goals in the year 2000, the beginning of the millennium. So I was puzzled to be marching in 2015 when now my millennium baby is a teenager, because I know that our great-grandmothers had marched in the 19th century to start the women's suffrage movement. Our grandmothers also marched in 1979 for the United Nations Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. And our mothers, again, marched in 1995 at the Beijing Platform for Action. So here we were, still marching in 2015. This truly puzzled me. You see, because my daughter and her peers, born at the beginning of the inception of the Millennium Development Goals, which had gender equality at their core as a priority to be realized by the year 2015, these children will be 30 years old at the conclusion of the Sustainable Development Goals in 2030. They will be the adults. They will be the decision makers. They will be the policy makers. Of course, they will be the political leaders and business leaders of their time. And I got thinking, should my millennium baby and her peers ever find the need to march for gender equality, I would not want to see them marching with their feet. As a mother, I would rather women and girls march with their minds, a mind fully equipped with the necessary education, the necessary knowledge, the necessary tools, necessary information, necessary skills, and of course, the necessary power networks to enable them to participate on equal footing with their male counterparts. I then returned from New York, very disappointed and heartbroken, and launched the Justina Mutale Foundation. For I believe that every girl has potential and that every girl should be given an opportunity to excel and reach her highest potential. It is therefore my hope and prayer that one day every girl can access quality education to enable her to reach her highest potential, to escape poverty and to live a fulfilling life, so that one day every girl can have the capability to effectively participate in and make a positive contribution to the global economy, and of course, the development of the world on equal footing as her male counterparts. I'm just going to give a few tips on how to break through into your leadership role as a woman. To begin with, you need to recognize and acknowledge that you have that potential. Have the confidence that you can do it. Then you need to identify your passion and purpose, and you should strive to operate from that purpose or passion, because passion is what keeps you awake at night, to jump up in the middle of the night and do your work. You must have a vision. Without vision, you've got no direction. So vision is the fundamental emotive force that will drive everything that you are going to do as a female leader. And as women, we have a Coffee Grant said something about this, that women already have power. We have great powers as women. And as women, we are blessed with very high emotional intelligence. Therefore, to be a leader, you need to harness your sixth sense and hone in on your natural wisdom. The natural wisdom that makes women bring up children, therefore building up communities, building up nations, and building up the world, and of course, building up humanity. So tuning into your natural wisdom, your high emotional intelligence, your empathy, your compassion, your care, and your survival instinct. You need to identify your unique superpowers. Know and embrace your unique capabilities and strength. And finally, the old adage that a lady should be seen and not heard is totally outdated. As a woman leader, you should demonstrate your courage. Demonstrate courage by leveraging your unique style and approach. You have to stick to your guns. You should embrace the power of your voice and the power of your perspective. Bring that to the table. Be more self-affirming and take pride in the value that you can create and bring to that table. And of course, assert your right to sit at that table. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ino Cragrin. I run Talkative Mom.
Hello, my name is Adjoa Ajufwa, CEO of Inkutoba Ajufwa.
Hi, my name is Mavis Anafe, a fashion entrepreneur. My business name is Me Afrik. Me Afrik is a fashion brand that sew and design clothes for people. And also we do recycling and redesigning of clothes, where we take used clothes that customers don't need again on a discount and redesign it to another product for them.
This started as a mom blog 2 years ago, and this year I decided to evolve it into an actual business, which is a digital marketing and brand campaign business. I saw Womenpreneur Pitchathon online, and I decided to apply for it. And I was shortlisted among almost 40,000 applicants.
I was part of Access Bank's Womenpreneur Pitchathon 2020, and I must say it was an amazing experience.
So I got the opportunity to be on the Womenpreneur Pitchathon 2020, and I've enjoyed it. We got the opportunity to attend the mini MBI program with IFC for 2 months, where we attend class each day, facilitators there to support us. We got coaches in training us to develop and grow our business, scale up. Even though I wasn't the ultimate winner, but then the knowledge from the program can be left out.
I started my mini MBA. It was an 8-week session where we had people come in to lecture, to teach us financial analysis, marketing skills, people management. It was just nothing short of amazing. Throughout the session, we had to put together our business plan. We had to find how we were going to pitch. We had coaches that were from Access, and they took us through
the entire 8-week session. Now it got to pitch day, and we had to pitch our businesses. And that was very nerve-wracking for me because I've never been through anything like that, but it went really well.
I learned things from the mini MBA, which was organized by IFC together with Access Bank. And through this, I've learned things about digital marketing, how to treat my customers, and even my finances.
I've gotten a lot of knowledge on how to treat my customers, how to even advertise my product, how to get on social media, how to interact with people to expand my business. I hope the next coming years, I've gotten a lot of knowledge in scaling up my business from the stage where it is now to another stage.
And I can't wait for what my business is going to become in the next year and even 5 years from now, because I know that there's now structure put in place. I hope that you out there listening will decide to also apply for this. You can never stop self-developing, and I hope that you decide to take this on.
I would say to you who is watching this or listening in that going into 2021, make sure you don't miss the opportunity to apply for Access Bank's Womenpreneur Pitch-a-thon 2021, because it's going to transform your business, it's going to drive your business forward to make it sustainable, and it's going to help you to give value to your customers.
Thank you so much, Womenpreneur W community. Thank you so much for shortlisting, and thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
I encourage every woman out there to get on board for the Womenpreneur Pitch-a-thon 2021 by Access Bank's W initiative. Thank you to Access Bank for this wonderful initiative. We appreciate it a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Inspiring, connecting, empowering.
And before that video, we heard from Justina Mutale of the Justina Mutale Foundation. She's the founder and president. And as she showed us, she's also an author. And she also started a scholarship program for underprivileged African young women. Before her was Chilufia Mutale, founder and CEO of Premier Credit. Both women from Zambia sharing their stories with us on choosing to challenge and the experiences they have had as women entrepreneurs. Thank you so much to both of you for sharing your experiences with us, and to our other speaker spotlight participants, to our panel discussion participants as well, and to all of you who have joined us for the Pan-African Women's Conference. I can't believe that we're already coming to the end of the program, but before we wrap up, we'd like to take some closing remarks from the Divisional Head of Retail Banking for Access Bank, Stephen Aban. Welcome, Stephen.
Thank you so much, Kopi. Thank you. This has been an amazing program we've had. Thank you so much, Kopi. And Choose to Challenge has indeed been the theme for this great conference. And I believe all of us have been challenged to excel in our various fields of endeavor. I cannot thank all our speakers enough for making themselves available to share these useful insights to impact all of us. At Access Bank, we are indeed focused on empowering women because we acknowledge the crucial role women play in our world. Women, be they entrepreneurs, career-focused, or homekeepers, contribute significantly to the socio-economic advancement of every country. It therefore stands to reason why at Access Bank, we have carefully designed these great initiatives to help unearth the great potentials in women and to make our world a better place for everybody. The Access Bank W initiative is all about inspiring, connecting, and empowering, and we just got to know we should change the empowering to enabling women across all walks of life to help them innovate and to meet their financial and lifestyle needs. These solutions, we believe, are not limited to Ghana, but across the entire continent. So in Nigeria, in Zambia, in Rwanda, in DRC Congo, Sierra Leone, Kenya, Mozambique, Gambia, and all the countries where we operate, the W initiative continues to impact women through the provision of access to finance, access to networking opportunities, access to information through the W Academy, and access to markets. This conference is one of the many of such initiatives we embark upon to reiterate our unflinching commitment to women. On behalf of management of the bank and the entire team, I once again want to specifically thank the keynote speaker, Mrs. Elsie Ado Awazi, the second Deputy Governor of Bank of Ghana, for gracing our conference with such thought-provoking insights. Mrs. Awazi enumerated a number of key initiatives and interventions that the Central Bank, as the Bank of Ghana, is actually making to empower women, and that indeed is a great example for all of us. She also threw up a challenge to women to scale up the women agenda, and I believe we have taken that challenge, and all the women on this platform would continue to take up the agenda, and the discussion continues. Mrs. Awazi also shared her personal experience, and believe me, I would love to be at her book launch. This is really a great experience that would resonate very well with a lot of the women, and it's a challenge for all of us to really scale up the ladder. To all our speakers, Irene, Thelma, we really appreciate your time and the great insight that you shared with us. To our panelists, that is Madam Fatima and Matilda, Messieurs Yofi Grant and Franklin, we say a big thank you for the great insight you shared with us. I also want to say a big thank you to Chirifia and Justina for the great experience you've shared with us. The practical experience you've shared indeed will be great and will be good for a lot of our women and even the men to learn from your successes. And to all of you who made a time to join the conference, without you, this conference would have been successful. We say a big thank you, and we believe the experience you've learned today will be the beginning of greater heights to climb. Let us all join hands together to live the life and to live to the fullest potential we also desire. Until we meet again and come your way again, remember the Access Bank is there, and we have a team committed to help you push up to the top of the ladder. God bless you, and may we continue to choose to challenge. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Stephen Aban is the Divisional Head of Retail Banking for Access Bank, just there to give us some closing remarks on behalf of Access. This is the Pan-African Women's Conference brought to you by Access Bank and Scale Up Africa. Now, if you want more information on Access W, I'm going to give you some numbers for you to contact the Women Banking team. So you can call in Ghana 020-202-2299. That's 020-202-2299 or 057-973-4663. 057-973-4663. Again, these are the numbers for Ghana to contact the Women Banking Unit. You can also email womenbanking@accessplc.mail.onmicrosoft.com. Maybe you can take just a quick screenshot of that on your phone. But that's the email address to contact Women Banking. Also, follow Access on all of their platforms, website. I'll give you the social media handles as well. Go to www.vwcommunity.com. You can also follow on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Use the handle @VWCommunity, @VWCommunity. That's for social media, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Now, with Scale Up Africa, if you'd like to reach them, you can also follow the following social media handles. That's @ScaleUpAfrica2020 on Facebook, @2020 Scale Up on Twitter, or @ScaleUp_Africa on Instagram. Okay, their website is wearescaleupafrica.com. So you can also touch base with Scale Up Africa and find out more about the services they offer. So we started with a word of prayer, and we'll end on the same note. I'd like to invite Juliet Akanyamike, who is the Head of Digital Banking Sales at Access Bank, to give us our closing prayer. Hello, Juliet.
Thank you. Thank you, Kokui. Thank you. I'm grateful to have been part of this brilliant program. We're all excited about everything that we've heard, and hopefully we're going to deliberately implement that in our lives. Thank you. Shall we pray? Almighty and ever-living Father, we thank you so much for today. We bless your name for this program. It is not by chance or by accident that we held this program. And we believe that your presence has been with us right from the beginning.
At the end of it, Lord, we say thank you for guiding us through such a successful program. Thank you for all the speakers that have been part of this. We pray that whatever they have lost in attending and giving us wisdom in this program, we ask, O Lord, that you shall replenish them 100 and 1,000-fold in Jesus' name. Father, we thank you for all those who have taken part in this program, and we ask for grace and more anointing to implement everything that we have heard. Let us do it consciously. Let us hold on to what we have heard, and let us explore more into everything that we have heard today. Let us go away fulfilled, oh God, that we are winners, that we are going to be successful, that we are going to look up to you in everything that we do. We thank you for the organizers of this program. We thank you for Access Bank and all those who helped to make this successful. We ask, oh God, that you guide us as we leave here. We are not leaving your presence. We ask that you go with us in all the places that we're going to, and all that we do, all that we touch, and everything we will do to the glory of your name. We thank you and we honor you in Jesus' mighty name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Juliet. Juliet Akanyamike is Head of Digital Banking Sales at Access Bank. And this concludes our program for today, the Pan-African Women's Conference, brought to you by Access Bank and Scaleup Africa. Once again, a big thank you to all of you who registered and logged in today from Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Zambia, the United States, the United Kingdom. We all zoomed in together to choose to challenge together. And we're very grateful for that. Thank you, Access Bank. Thank you, Scaleup Africa. I'm going to take a cue from Matilda Asiedu Asante. I'm going to say, my name is Kokwi Salome Hansen. Thank you for having me as your moderator for the Pan-African Women's Conference. Have a fantastic day. Don't run away. Please do stay behind and network a bit. We've got some music playing. You can exchange contacts with people. You can interact with those who are still logged in. So just spend a few minutes to network and exchange.